Outside a social services center in New York today, and a kind of chaos amid rushed efforts to reunite families forcibly separated at the U.S.-Mexico border. Here, children taken from their parents by the U.S. government were part of a last-minute court-ordered push to be taken back to their parents by today. But it's unclear how many made it or where they ended up. Though there's been evidence lately of tearfully happy reunions, critics underline, hold your applause.
It doesn't excuse what the government did, but we are going to be enormously pleased that children are in their parents' arms.
Indeed, under a directive by the Trump administration earlier this year, anyone caught crossing into the U.S. illegally, even those fleeing strife, were to be federally prosecuted. That meant cages in detention centers in Texas and children taken from their parents.
Let the children go!
Public outcry was fierce, and the backlash led to a California judge ordering the government to reunite the families. The government says it's made great progress, but acknowledges it's lost track of some parents, and more than 400 other parents have already been deported without their children. It's unclear how or even if they'll ever be reunited.
Return the kids!
In Washington today, children and other demonstrators marched toward Capitol Hill to press the U.S. government to find a way to make sure all families are eventually reunited. Even as the Trump administration defended its position that U.S. immigration policy must be hardened.
You do not get to come to America unlawfully. Let's just make that clear. This system is built on making your application and waiting your turn.
Indeed, even the tearful reunions come with a caveat. Deportation hearings now await for most.
And so, Paul, the deadline has come and gone, and there are still kids in custody. So what now?
Yeah, well, good question. No one knows. It's kind of uncharted territory. It is a court order, so consequences are possible. For example, government officials could be fined or imprisoned. That said, it's much more likely that a judge would see good faith, that the government has been trying to get this done on time and allow some leeway. Still, the whole idea of the deadline was to get it done, so there likely wouldn't be too much wiggle room. But, you know, keep in mind, this is a problem entirely of the U.S. government's own making. And in that it's also the government that's now deported those 400-plus parents without their kids already. Your guess is as good as anyone's, as I say, how they'll ever get reunited. The Washington Post today wrote a particularly scathing editorial about all of it, calling the whole episode a contemptuous, cruel, noxious humanitarian outrage. So it's clear that regardless of any penalty by the courts, if any, the Trump administration's already paid a stiff price in the public eye for its approach on this.
Okay, thanks, Paul.